here with Innovative Homestead. Thanks for watching. You know, we had a fun project we just completed and thought it would be fun to share what we learned and how we did it. So we built a beach on our backyard property. We have an acre, just over an acre pond right behind our home that, as you can see, is very overgrown. It's beautiful. It has a sandy bottom, not too many weeds growing in the water. Does have quite a few bluegill, bass, and some crappies, so it's a great place to fish. But we thought we would spend some time cleaning it up and building a beach. So we started with just kind of figuring out exactly where we thought the best place would be, and identified right on the western shore a nice place loaded with brush and weeds that we would start clearing. So, you know, our dream here was really to get something where we could add some sand, we could create a place our family could enjoy, our kids could swim, we could fish from, and really, added bonus, add some property value to our home. And so we started just clearing, and this was the most significant part of the project. There was a ton of weeds and brush, as you can see, to deal with. Some prickers, some switchgrass, quite a few different weed varieties, and the worst of all, as you can see there, the autumn olive. So we cut those with the chainsaw and later brought in our Kubota L3302 to help pull those out. Once we got past the brush, the bigger brush, we moved to really trying to figure out the best way to clear the land. And this was kind of a trial and error for us. We love working outdoors. We've cleaned a lot of property up. We've worked in forests, we've worked in meadows, you name it, we've done a lot. This was kind of a learning experience because we had to get down and clear this sod up and do it in the most efficient way. So we started with the blade on the back of the L3302. The blade wasn't quite heavy enough to effectively move the brush. As you can see, it's kind of just floating over some of the brush and the weeds. But we're really just looking for a way to get through this the best way possible and utilize our tractor to do it. So we started with the blade. We normally use this for leveling out like our pasture, our trails. We've used it for gravel road, and the blade is also really nice for clearing out snow, which I'll probably show in a later video. But this particular day we tried using it to move some of the brush and just worked inconsistent, to say the least. It would move some of those weeds, but basically create a pile that would require us to later have to spend extra time and move. Throughout this process, we learned that we actually had a stair set right there that was buried in sand. And so we spent some time digging that out, which is pretty neat. We didn't realize it was even there. It just took many years of drifting sand and wind that covered it up. Probably over 2 decades. As you can see with the blade, moving it all the way down to the engaged zone, it worked, but it would just clump up and drag. So we gave this a shot, probably spent an hour, maybe just over an hour utilizing it. It did create some nice piles we could move, but just wasn't that efficient. Didn't have much time these particular weekend days to work on it. And so tried to figure out the best way to get down below that sod. And what, as you can see, we discovered is we did have a good amount of sand down there to work with, but just not moving it as fast as we'd like to see it. Once we exhausted this option, we tried our rototiller. So went back to the barn and grabbed the rototiller, which we use for our gardens, and this worked really well. The downside of this is it basically takes anything I ran over, including all those weeds, and buries them along with the sand. So we have a little bit of touch-up work to do here, but it worked much, much faster than the blade. It was just a back and forth approach, quite a bit different than I normally would do a garden, just trying to cover as much of this as I could. I did run into issues with, it's a 4-wheel drive tractor, but I did run into some issues as I got close to the water where that sand becomes a bit moist and you run the risk of, even with a 4-wheel drive tractor, getting it stuck. So I wanted to try to avoid that. We did discover that we had some pretty neat, nice beams that surround this part of our property. So at one point, long ago, this must have been somebody else's beach. And obviously with the sand there, it made it nice and convenient for me just to take the rototiller and loosen it all up. Quite a few roots remained, quite a few sticks that we'd have to go back later and address. But again, what got us so excited about this was just a place that our family could enjoy and relax. You know, the idea of the own private beach just sounded neat to us. So we just thought, when we discovered we could do this, we really wanted to, and it was just a lot of fun. So we spent, you know, probably about an hour doing the rototilling. Once we got through that, we really just wanted to finely tune the sand and remove some of the extra brush. We also brought in about 12 yards of sand. It was the masonry sand, so a little bit finer, a little bit cleaner, to help just give us a nicer finishing look later. We have 2 mini Australian Shepherds which love to help us on this project and were with us pretty much the entire time. But it's a really beautiful pond. We absolutely love it. Again, it's about 1.5 acres, and we need to add a fountain. You know, we plan on doing some other things and some other upgrades in the future, but it's a really fun place to have as part of our homestead. We did eventually move some of the sand, which got delivered the next day. And as you can see, we first started reinforcing the beach, which was a little soft. We didn't want to get the tractor stuck. After we dug below the sod, it allowed us to expose additional sand, which we later used for just basically spreading, broadcasting, and any areas, as you can see there, that were more of a muddy, dirty look to them, we just threw the sand on it. This is going to be a work in progress probably for the next year or two to get it perfect, but for now this kind of worked to get us started. The autumn olive roots, that was another issue we have to work on throughout the years. Quite a few of those are left that did not get handled by the rototiller. Quite a few of those did get caught up in the rototiller, so that was something we had to deal with, as you can see there. But we spent quite a bit of time throughout this second day just moving sand, getting things leveled out, and moving sand from that beam area down towards the beach. Having the tractor made it much easier and much faster than what I was anticipating we'd have to do. I was pleasantly surprised by how quick this went. At the end of the day, we thought it turned out really well. As you can see, the beams are relatively in decent shape. The sand is great. You know, we plan on adding quite a bit more fresh new sand to this. We plan on raking this quite a bit more and just making this nicer as time goes on. But for now, this worked out really well for us. And we think that turned out pretty well. We spent quite a bit of time after we got even just the sand in place, leveling it out and clearing some of those weeds along the shoreline. We have quite a bit more to do there. The headache there really is in the root system. We're using a tool, just a garden tool, to get down to those roots and remove those, and it does take quite a bit of work. We used the weed eater for quite a while, just taking some of the top off of them, but it really turned out nicely. We loved the way this turned out. Again, it's early stage. There's quite a bit more that we want to add to it in terms of sand and just making it perfect. But for now, it worked out really well. We did add a fire pit, as you can see. So we plan on spending a lot of time there this summer and throughout the years doing fire pits and just enjoying our time on the beach. We did clear the stairs, which was quite a bit of work, but well worth it. The wood is in pretty good shape, even though it's fairly old, so that worked out really well. Gives us a nice access point from the yard. And that is how it turned out. So could not be happier. Feel like we have a great place to spend some time, to fish. The kids are going to enjoy. And just thought we'd share, what we learned and how it turned out. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. We'll be posting more videos like this in the future. We think it'd be kind of fun to show some of our projects in the future, so plan on posting more. So stay with us, and thanks for watching.